And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to welcome you all to the Hello LLC. And if you don't know, you are in the Getting Naked podcast live in the Metaverse that we encourage you guys to come and join us for our Getting Naked podcast. This is a real, raw, authentic, and AF. What does that stand for, baby?
Funny as fuck.
And so we are about to get into the nitty gritty. And today's amazing topic is stop being a prisoner and a fool of your own mind. Well, we're going to be talking about self-awareness. We're going to be talking about the story you tell yourself. We're going to be talking about living in the past and not holding anything back whatsoever. If you got kids in the room, I highly encourage you put some headsets in, because the David and Tara that you normally know, they are gone, right? You're about to get the real behind the scenes scene of what's going on, especially in today's conversation. And we're going to share some of our stories. We're definitely not going to, get into it as we did the last time. If you guys didn't listen to our last podcast, I highly encourage you to listen to it, but be prepared. Woo! It was a hot one. It was a spicy one. Today, we're not getting nowhere near that, but I encourage you guys all to really open up the 4 most expensive things in your world. And that is a closed mind, that is a closed mouth, that is a closed heart, and that is a closed hand, especially in today's conversation, and being open and being honest with yourself, understanding that you are a prisoner of your own damn mind. And you do play fool to your own mind, because, you think to yourself 60,000 times a day. And that's a fact, Jack. And 80% of them are negative. And so if you're sitting there saying, "Oh no, not me," well, that's what the studies say. Not me, not Tara. And so, love. With that being said, what's your opening statement to today's topic? Talk to me, baby.
Well, we talk about this because at the end of the day, this is something that we have had to mindfully grow out of. It had to be something that we were able to get out of our own way. And that's why we're bringing it to everybody else to talk about. When I share this and I talk about this with, friends and family, it's kind of that aha moment, like, oh, that makes so much sense. And we don't realize it, that we live so much in the past. We don't realize that, we talk to ourselves so much during the day. Like over 90% of the time, you are having a running dialogue in your head. And it really matters what we're telling ourselves, and then just the awareness. A lot of people are not aware of what they say, who they're being, how they're being, what space they're creating, what they're telling themselves, what they're telling other people. It's just, something that we have had to really, really, really work on. We were having this conversation today with one of our clients, and we've, we've had this conversation all week this week. It's just that awareness of who you are being. Because look, at the end of the day, you can't control anybody else. You could want somebody to drink some water. You could, need somebody to go pee. You could, all of these functions, and you can't force people to do that. Those are functions that body has to do itself, and you just can't do it for someone. And as much as you want people to drop the past, be able to be self-aware, communicate, all of those things, you just can't make other people get there until they're ready to get there. We always say, if a crackhead ain't ready to be clean, then a crackhead ain't going to be clean. And we don't mean that in a derogatory way to anybody who has any sort of addictions, but we all understand, when there's an intervention for someone, and it's time to, show up and try to help someone. If they're not ready to get out of what they're doing, it's not going to be successful. Again, you can set someone on the toilet, you can get them all prepared, but you can't physically do that function of releasing a bowel movement or water out of your, bladder. It's just not going to happen. And so this conversation today is to help people understand that A, you ain't alone. We all go through this. And B, maybe if you hear it from us from a different point of view, it might click and you might go, that's what my wife, my girlfriend, my husband, my significant other, my boyfriend, whatever it is, that's what they're trying to tell me. That's what they're trying to point out. And look, I'll say this. David and I have been together. We just started our 14th year together. So we've completed a full 13. And one thing I will share is I can't force David to do anything that he doesn't want to do. And the other side of that is he can't force me. There has to be a willingness, a want to be better. And really, at the end of the day, he has to worry about his own two thumbs. And Tara has to worry about her own two thumbs, meaning I got to worry about myself. Because if I can get myself straight and get myself in line and show up the way that I'm supposed to show up, it doesn't always guarantee that the other person's going to follow suit. But at the end of the day, the work you do on yourself is going to be so much more beneficial in the long run for yourself, whether it's in a professional setting, a personal setting, a family setting, whatever that is. It is going to be beneficial for yourself instead of, being that asshole that shows up and, everybody knows you to be that person. And you're like, man, so today's going to be a fun conversation. We're going to dive deep and hopefully it helps people, kind of resonate with some of it and, go, that clicked. Thank you. So let's get to it.
Yeah, and just to help people out, just especially when you mentioned, the crackhead, we don't want us to get banned. We shared this story a long time ago. And, we all, or majority of us, and some of you still, right? You get up in the morning and you drive to work and we go, under the underpass and we see the homeless people or the people pull up to us and they're asking us for money and we're the rude, inconsiderate people rolling up our window, not wanting to make eye contact. But I can share with you this. That person woke up in the morning and they don't have anything to their name. But whatever they want, they are going to get. And if they want that fix, they're going to do whatever it takes to get that fix, and they're going to get it. And until somebody, and it doesn't matter who says, family member, preacher, a psychiatrist, whoever, wants them to stop being addicted to whatever they're addicted to, it's not going to matter until that person decides they no longer want to be addicted to that. And, we laugh and we joke and we, sometimes, put our nose up at those people, but those people have dedication on getting what they want. Imagine if you had that same dedication and things that you want. And not only that, it's up to them to decide if they want to make the change. And this is where we share with people, the traumas, the dramas, the programs, the patterns. We all have fell into this cycle, right, of what we are self-aware of. And so often we're not aware of the things that we're saying. Prime example, the other day I was in a social audio room and a lady, was talking about how she was using Zoom, how she was using this, Go Brunch, which I'm here to tell y'all that is not Metaverse. That is, I think it's worse than Zoom, you ask me. But it is not Metaverse. And she was sharing with me that, no, I don't want to deal with Metaverse. I don't want to deal with that. This is for the youngsters. This is for them. This is for that. And just coming up with all these excuses of why she couldn't. And she was really just screwing herself and being a prisoner of her own mind when I literally sat there and said, hey, are you using Zoom? She said, yeah, I'm using it a lot. I said, well, this is exactly why you should be implementing the Metaverse. And because it was something new, because it was something she was unaware of, she went to straight foolery, real talk, because, that's not for me, this, that, and other. But literally 5 seconds later, she went into how Kamala was going to change this and change that and change this. And I'm thinking to myself, you're wanting change for the world and for America and for women and for this and for that, but yet you're not willing to change. And I'm like, this is a perfect example of stop being a prisoner and a fool of your own mind. A lot of people want things, but a lot of people don't want to do things to get the things that they want, because we're talking a lot, but we're not doing a lot. And we're missing the boat when we're even sharing these things. And so, this is where we wanted to bring this to you guys, awareness of really be aware of how you're thinking and not just saying, hey, be aware, but there are some tips: meditation, eating right, right? Doing things that serve you well, and really looking at, how you react to people and having that emotional awareness. So when we say self-awareness, it is also emotional awareness, which Tara talks about our relationship. One thing that I've learned, that I've had to really come true to, is that, David is a very factual person. David is a very logical person. I will fact check your ass like no other, and Tara will as well. But when it comes down to our relationship, Tara is more so on the emotional side. And I have to be self-aware of understanding how that plays part into her, emotional side, and the way that she thinks, and really caring about what she thinks, and not just driving these facts of this, that, and the other, because that really doesn't serve the ultimate goal, right, of being able to love each other. And how you love each other is by being self-aware and about having that emotional awareness and really being tuned with yourself. And because we're not willing to do the work of self-awareness, and not really being able to say, hey, I got this bad habit, I got that bad habit, I know I should do better at this. Do you just talking about it, or are you actually doing it when it matters, when it counts? And so, that's really, one of the biggest things that I would encourage us all, especially as we talk about this self-awareness, is don't just, just be talking about it, but really go sit your ass down somewhere and do something different that you haven't done before. And whether that's take some self-development courses, whether that's read a great book, whether that's go talking to somebody. Definitely don't talk to your damn family or friends, because if they're not in the right place where you want to be, X they asses out, period. Off the list, and go talk to a professional, go talk to somebody, because I think that is what it really comes down to, is that we're not talking this out loud, we're shelling it inside, and it's just outbursting to the world in the wrong way that we want it to, be perceived to the world.
Yeah, lack of communication. I think, yeah, it's that lack of communication. I think, you hit the nail on the head.
You there, baby?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Well, I'll keep going. You there?
Yeah. Hello? Tess.
I'll keep going until Tara gets back.
Hello?
One of the other things that I would share with you all is really understanding, as we move to the next phase, is the story that you tell yourself. And I think that is huge, as we talk about the self-awareness, but the story that you tell yourself. And if you guys don't know, we always share about the 6 S's, right? The 6 S's being, your actual surroundings that you surround yourself with, the story that you tell yourself that we're talking about now, which then goes down to the standards, right? Because what you tell yourself is the standards that you set, and the standards that you set up the sacrifices for the good, not the bad. A lot of the times when we look at sacrifice, we look at the bad things, but sacrificing not smoking means better health. Sacrificing not drinking every night means better health. And so the sacrifice is good. And that's where you change your perspective on those things by the standards, by the story, and the people that you surround yourself with, which then goes down to this ultimate good old, 5th S that is very tough, is the self-discipline. A lot of us do not have the self-discipline, myself included. I'll be real with you guys. When I get mad, when I get irritated, I also go start to pick my skin. And for the last, 5-6 days, after having this conversation with myself, I said, you know what? We talk about self-love. I have to start self-loving myself and not get so addicted to that picking when I get irritated. So I've been, really good about not doing it, but it is very hard. But it's that self-awareness in the heat of the battle to say, hey, we said we were going to do this. We said we were going to change. And so this is what we're going to do, and be self-disciplined about it, doing it when it really matters, not doing it when, I want to do it. And that's just a conversation with the soul. And so that's really part of the 6 S's, right? Of your surroundings, your story, the standards, the sacrifices, the self-discipline, and the soul, conversation that you have with yourself. And so, what you got on that, love?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Are you back? Okay, you might not be back yet. And so, this is where we share, with you guys about, having those 6 S's will really be able to, help you with the actual traumas, the dramas, the patterns, the programs that you are dealing with, in your life. And I really truly believe that, as we navigate and we be honest with ourselves, right? We be honest with ourselves and not be a prisoner of our own mind, because oh my goodness, we can get wrapped up in a story like no other, and off to the races we go. And it's very hard to bring that back, because there's ego, there's pride, right? There's stubbornness involved in that, especially dealing with your traumas. And a lot of the times we're not willing to have that conversation, which is why we have the society that we have today. I believe that, due to the fact that, a lot of the times people aren't willing to deal with their traumas. We hide it away. We hide it behind materialistic things. We hide it behind, keeping ourselves busy. We hide it behind, hurting other people. We hide it behind the gossip and all the other, things that really don't serve us well. And so this is where I encourage you guys to really, elevate your thinking and deal with yourself. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, I cannot say it any more clear than your ass need to go sit down in a corner and really look at your life and how you're acting and what you're doing. And a lot of the times, we blame other people, but at the end of the day, it's your ass, right? If it's toxic, then maybe you're the toxic one that you really have to be able to, look at and make some changes. And as we share, old keys don't open new doors, right, love?
Hello? Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
And so, one of the other aspects that I'll share with you guys all is that,
Can
really
you hear me?
being able to understand, the
Hello?
brain and its, the capacity of the brain. The brain stores an estimated 2.5 million gigabytes of information, which is equivalent to 3 million hours of video, right? The speed of thought, especially right now, information travels through the brain at an astonishing 250 miles an hour. Okay. Your ass is getting speeding tickets all day long. And so, dreaming machine, we dream a lot. And as we talked about, in the 4 agreements, life is nothing but a big dream at the end of the day. We spend about 6 years of our lives dreaming, which is why I share with you guys, don't be a prisoner, don't be a fool. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of that story you tell yourself, and believe in yourself. And because we think so negatively, we beat up ourselves, we become our own worst enemy. It blows me away when people talk about haters, when people talk about, oh, this person hates, that person hates, and this person's doing this person's doing that, when at the end of the day, you are your biggest hater, as we move forward. And so, this is where we share with people, don't be your biggest hater, because you are, right, love?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
And so, uh, at the end of the day, guys, some other key facts would be that, energy hog, your brain uses 20% of your total oxygen and energy, despite making up only 2% of your body weight, which is crazy in itself. And so, that, and let me repeat that for you if you didn't hear that, for my people in the back. The brain uses 20% of the body's total oxygen and energy, despite making up 2% of your body weight. Plasticity, the brain is incredible and adaptable to be able to rewire itself through learning and experiences. And so they say that after the age of 30, they say after the age of 35, that you are trained and you are in your mode. This is who you are. And I'm here to say, I beg to differ. If there's a will, there is a way for you to be able to shift, for you to be able to change, and for you to be able to do what you want to do, due to the fact that, look, you're not a tree at the end of the day. You can be able to do anything and everything that you want to be able to do as long as you put your mind to it. That as we exit out of the Olympics, we've been hearing multiple people talk about and share with the stories that these Olympians just don't train physically. These Olympians train in meditation. There's so many people that will sit there and visualize themselves before they do that. And me and Tara stress and encourage and shout from the mountaintops on you guys being able to, meditate, whether it's a guided meditation, whether it's a walking meditation, whether it's a lay down meditation, whether you sit there, in a room with no headphones on and just sit there. Start out doing it for a minute. Start out doing it, for 2 to 3 times a week. But we want you guys to be able to do it because it's just amazing that, and I'll speak for myself. When meditation first came up, I was like, meditation, you can forget that. You want my ass to go sit down in a corner and meditate? No way. And even when Tara talked me into it, I would sit my ass down in the chair and I would be like, ooh, I got to get this. Ooh, I got to get that. Ooh, let me open my eyes here. Ooh, I'm not comfortable. Ooh, I'm not this. And that right there is a prime example of how our minds play us for okie dokes. They prison us and they play us for a fool out the gate because it just will not and it does not want to be able to really, sit there and hear itself to where it has to do some other things. And so, at the end of the day, I encourage you guys to really take a good look at that. And even, going for a walk, fellas, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups. If you can't go to the gym, and look, we are digital nomads. I haven't went to a gym in 2 years, but I tell you what, I can get a bar and I can do some pull-ups, and I literally put a bar that we have here between the stairs and the top of the gate, and we go to work. Push-ups, that should be no problem. Sit-ups, you don't need a gym for that. You definitely don't need a gym to go for a walk or a run, and as long as you're doing something, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Love, you there with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No. Okay. And so, guys, the biggest thing also that I would share with you guys is the power of the mind, right?
Can you hear me?
The subconscious mind controls up to 90% of our behaviors and our decisions. And something that I heard the other day is that is when we
can you hear me?
Just because we are in our emotional state and we feel a type of way, that does not mean you're right. And depending on your traumas, depending on your dramas, depending on your patterns and your programs, you could feel a certain way. That doesn't make it right. And our subconscious controls up to 90% of our mind, which is why we share with you guys that you have to be able to reprogram. And that's going to take some real self-discovery and being able to be upfront and honest with yourself. And then even more importantly, forgiveness. I think that is definitely something that, we should have added to this as we, stop being a prisoner or a fool of your own mind. And a lot of these conversations that we do have that are negative is because we're not forgiving people, is because we're not, being upfront and honest and, owning up to the fact. And forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for you to be able to let go. And as I share with you guys all, you holding on to anger, you holding on to, the past, you being, vindictive is nothing more than you holding on to a lit stick of dynamite that is about to blow up in your motherfucking hands, right? It is about to blow up in your hands if you do not let go and just leave it there. And hopefully that analogy really registered to you all that you're mad, you're angry, you're upset, right? And you're just holding on to the anger and it's not doing you any justice. And it's not doing you any good, nor the other person good. And I share this story, right? Where right now, my own pops ain't talked to me in 90 days. But, hey, he's holding on to his anger. He's holding on to that pain. He's holding on to it. And we're going to see how long he holds on to it. As I share with you all, right? We have to be authentic and we have to be honest. And it's a two-way street, no matter what. Father, son, daughter, wife, we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable and really be able to, say, hey, look, just let it go. Forget about it. And, even as we talk about forgiveness, this is where, it goes into living in the past. So often we're living our lives based upon the past, and it really doesn't help us out whatsoever living in the
Can you hear me?
past. With you living in the past, you bring the past into the future and you're just reliving it.
Hello?
And that's something that me and Tara had to really, focus on, was letting go of the past and not letting that, foster. And even more importantly, not allowing, our parents situations or our friends situation and things that would have happened, in the past come to the future. And we just had this conversation today in business, is that in business what happens is that we have a bad
Hello?
interaction with another business or another client, and what happens is that we don't move forward with somebody else. Prime example, we have one of our clients that that she was highly disappointed in the service that they provided and what they did. And she was pissed like no other. Her business is stuck like Chuck because she relied on this one business to do what they needed to do, and they didn't. And when she came to us, I heard the resistance. I felt the, oh, I'm not sure. And that happens a lot.
Hello?
Is that we allow the past to dictate our future, and more importantly, we allow the past to make the decision for us.
Hello?
And that truly doesn't work for us whatsoever.
Hello?
And so, Love, do you have anything on that you want to share?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I still can't hear you. So,
Oh,
that right there, my friends, is
hello?
so important for us to be able to really,
Hello?
understand to just let go of the past, and just remember, right? Your old keys that you're holding on to and you're trying to, open new doors is not happening for you at all. And so, with that being said, guys, I encourage you all to really be able to look back at these three things that we talked about, which is self-awareness, right? The story that you tell yourself, the living in the past, and then as we talked about some of these facts that really being able to understand the placebo effect. The mind can influence physical healing through the placebo effect. Positive thinking can cultivate a mindset that can improve physical and mentally. And then being mindful, right? Mindfulness can reduce stress, anxiety, depression. Okay. And then, at the end of the day, I encourage you guys to really be able to, have a conversation, um, you know, uh, or should I say, be able to be grateful, in life. And when you're grateful and you can, do anything and everything, then it works out for you at the end of the day, right? And so what
Okay.
I want to do is I want to get Tara in here, and so we're gonna continue this conversation with Tara. So, Love, what would you have to share, about the living in the past? What would you share with the people?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
1 second here. I got a reverb. I would just say at the end of the day that, it comes down to the simple fact
Go to
of
the Bluetooth menu on your mobile device and select it from the list.
Go ahead, Love. I'm sorry.
it just comes down to the simple fact of, the the self-awareness that people need to have. And you just have to understand that. Hold on, there's a reverb. Marv, take it away.
And so, you know, they just have to understand that they have, you know, or you know, that they have the choice. They really do have the choice to be able to, you know, understand, you know, how they can be able to change and stop being a prisoner and a fool of their own mind. And you know, I share that because, and I'll share the story. I've shared this story multiple times. You there?
All right, I'm back.
Yeah,
Yep.
Go ahead.
So, you know, I think just at the end of the day, it's important for people to understand that, you know, if we're still in the self-awareness part of this conversation, is we are not self-aware of what we do and how we do things. It is we think we're aware of who we are being or what we are being, but we are not. It is not human nature to stop and say, hey, you know, I was just being an asshole, or I just, you know, had an emotional outburst, and it ain't even because of you. You just triggered something that reminded me of my past, and all of a sudden now I'm in my feelings and I'm taking it out on you, when in reality it's because you lost your dog, you know, at the age of 5, and that, you know, is a deep-seated trauma or something. That self-awareness, like, it doesn't mean you have to have everything healed and all buttoned up, but just being aware of why things are making you upset, or why you're short fused, or why you are, you know, angry or mad. It's just being aware that, hey, this isn't because of somebody on an external factor. This is because of myself. This is because I triggered something, or, you know, I was watching a TikTok the other day, and this is a great example. It's a husband and wife, you know, and they were actually just recording something going on. It wasn't even like they were trying to record what happened, and it was a self-aware. Ultimately, what came of the video was a self-awareness part of the video, but it wasn't even, they were like cooking in the kitchen or something, and the wife was just talking. They were just talking about their day, things that happened, and the wife was sharing something that happened to her while at work, and she wasn't mad, but she was just expressing how it made her feel. And her husband stopped and said, hey, just a second, you know, what you just said right now really triggered me, and it's not what you did, and it's not, but what happened to you and the way that you're having, how it made you feel, it triggered something in me, and I need to take 5 minutes. I'm going to go, you know, out to the garage, walk around the house 10 times, whatever it was that he wanted to go do, and I'll be back in just a second, and we can, you know, break this down. But something's going on here. It's not you. It's not anything you said. It's just something. Well, it is something that you said, but it wasn't intentional. You know, it wasn't like she was intentionally trying to get a reaction out of him. She was just sharing. And all too often what happens is when we are sharing something that's going on in our life, whether it's a joy or a, you know, a happy moment, or if it's a sad and upset moment, that sparks emotion in other people. But because we are not self-aware of what is at play and what's going on, we think that it's that person. We think that that husband or that wife is doing it intentionally. And so he did. He walked away, and he came back, you know, like 10 minutes later. And so they recorded, and he's like, look, I just wanted to share, you know, with you what's going on. You know, when you said that, it triggered something that happened to me in my childhood, and that's how I would feel because of the other kids on the playground or whatever, you know, the teachers. That's just it. And when you were sharing that emotion, I felt that emotion because of I've lived that in my own personal experiences. And so I had to get clear of what was going on and really identify it and go, oh, that's what's going on. That's why I'm triggered, and that's why I'm kind of, you know, hurt and emotional right now. And they talked about it, and, you know, she was supportive of that, and he was, you know, supportive of the fact that she gave him grace to be able to go identify that. And that's the case. That's what happens. That's what needs to happen, is where people can be able to have that space to do that work. And what happens, because we're not taught this, we're not taught how to be self-aware, we're not taught how to feel. We live in a society, if you are in America, and I'm sure this is a very prevalent in other societies as well, but we live in a society where it's not okay for guys to feel emotion or show emotion. They can feel it, but they can't show it. No tears. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps and keep on moving. Boys don't cry. And what has happened is, because we've had fathers raise daughters, and I'm one of them, where it's the same thing. Like, don't stop being such a crybaby. Don't cry about everything. Don't be emotional about everything. And I know in my upbringing, my father was just trying to give me the best tools in life. But I remember I'm an emotional person. I'm a Cancer, first of all. I'm highly in tune with my emotions. I'll cry at, to be 100, y'all, I was driving home today from, town, and there was a bird that was dead on the ground in the middle of the highway. And I shed a tear. I was like, man, I feel sorry for that bird. That empathy factor that I got tears in my eyes right now thinking about it, because I'm in tune with my emotions. And I have allowed myself to be okay with, having water in my eyes and being that emotional person, because I'm aware of that emotion. I'm aware that where that comes from. That's my empathetic heart. That's because I feel for other living animals and humans, that we live in a society where it's not taught to be that way. It's taught to not do that. It's not okay if you fall down and cry. You don't want to be a crybaby all the time. But it's a different way of teaching people how to be self-aware of the emotion they're feeling. And I'm going to tell you, 9.99999% of the time, it is not anything about what that person that, I'll use David and I. It's not about what David's doing to me. He's triggering something in me of a past emotion, of a past experience that, made me feel bad or made, hurt me. And I'm lashing out, or I have lashed out in the past to back at him and making it, his problem. And it's like, no, that's not David's problem. That's something that's going on within you, and you need to be with it. And we are taught not to be with it. We're, like David said, we're taught to stuff that emotion down, to not show that emotion, to just keep on moving and not talk about it. And guys, we got to talk about things. That is, not everybody knows how to be by themselves and self-soothe themselves and sit with themselves and be able to find why they feel that way. And our mentor, Casey, has helped David and I tremendously with this one example of finding out the root cause of why. And if you ask yourself like 6 whys in a row, so, maybe I'm having an emotion, maybe I'm, reacting to something that David has said, and I'm having an emotional reaction to it. And I have to go, why am I feeling like that? Well, because he said that. Okay. Why are you feeling that? Because he said that. And then I go into, well, that's because I'm always told, do as I say, or don't, whatever it is. And then I'm like, okay, well, why am I feeling that? If you continue to ask yourself every time you get to something and really do the work, most people, I'm going to be 100. Most people are lazy. They won't do the work. They won't be a better person for themselves so that they're a better person in their home, their relationships, professional, personal, in their community, and in the world. They won't do the work because it's easier for us to sit around and point the blame at, oh, you annoy me. You do this. You do that. It's your fault. And when we do that, we're pushing the blame somewhere else. We're not healing. And at that point, you should just throw up the deuces and be done with it, because that's not going to help anybody, and it's definitely not going to help you. You're just going to continue to, have that issue with anybody who sparks that. And let me tell you, this universe is a funny, funny, funny little creature. It's going to continue to serve you that emotion and that lesson until you want to be with it. And Dwight Howard said this. Dwight Howard spent 5 or 6 days in darkness and silence with himself. No TV, no music, no anything. He just sat with himself. And so he was just alone with his thoughts and his emotions. And he said it was tough because most people, he's like, I thought it was going to kind of be easy. He says, no, after about the second day, you start, why? Well, you are like that. You're back to that 3-year-old state where you're asking yourself the why. It's so healthy for us to do that, but we won't do that. And a lot of people, will turn to something else. They'll drink a beer. They'll, smoke a cigarette. They'll smoke weed. They'll go running. They'll cook. They'll clean. They'll, stand on their head and, twinkle their toes. Whatever it is, people can't just sit still and be with themselves. And it's because we haven't been taught to do that. And because our society, look, I'm going to tell you exactly why. And, I'm already on the list of, we got to go get her and shut her up because she talks too much. But I'm going to tell you why. It's because a healthy patient is not making them money. So if you are sick in your mind, if you're sick with emotions, you are looking for a pill, you're looking for an external factor to fix it. And in reality, you have everything you need inside of you, your mind, your body, your spirit, to be able to fix yourself. And most people are looking for external factors to go shopping to. I knew one girl who, when she would be like extremely stressed or emotional, she would run. She would run her heart out. I mean, she would go run like 10, 12, 15 miles and just murder her body. And it's like, you're not helping yourself, because at the end of the day, if you would just sit with yourself, you would find that you are so much more better off. But people can't do that because we've never taught people to meditate. How many of you guys right now listening to this have, meditate, first of all? Number two is, how many of you have tried to meditate and your mind is just chattering? That's a chattering monkey. It's just, and you're like, holy cow, there's no right way to meditate. You can do a walking meditation. It's where you are just with yourself and you can just sit there. You can have that mind run, but allow yourself to be aware of the thoughts coming in and what that emotion creates in you. Emotion, energy in motion is what emotion is. It's energy that's in motion. And I was just having a conversation with my sister-in-law, and she says, you are such a breath of fresh air being up here. I'm, visiting my family right now. And I have noticed the energy that my family is holding is such a negative energy. And I just come in here with so much positivity and joy and happiness because I'm doing the work, guys. David's doing the work, that's the only reason why we've been able to make it to the 14th year, and we're still doing the work. Trust me, 100, we are still in the throes. We still have to be mindful. We still have to be self-aware. And I will say this, you can be mad, you can be negative, you can do all that, you can be cynical, but it doesn't hurt anybody but yourself. You're creating a physical emotion that is then going to be a trapped emotion in your body that turns into trauma, and you're not doing anything but hurting your body physically. It creates stress, it creates dis-ease, which turns into disease, D-I-S-E-A-S-E, that's disease, dis-ease. We have to understand how our bodies are nothing but kinetic energy, and it's a positive and negative charge. If you roll your ass into the emergency room and you flatline, they're going to run in with the cart, rub some paddles together, and they're going to yell clear and shock the shit out of you. And that's to get your electrical pulse back into rhythm, because either your negative or your positive is too heavy and it's not balanced. That is electrical energy they're putting back into you. That's a positive and a negative. We all have went to science class. We all understand what a positive and negative creates. When you jump a car, you have to have the hot and the neutral. It's the same thing. It's a positive and a negative. We have to have it in balance. And all too often, we sit here and we ignore this and we look external. We make it everybody else's issue. And we don't hold ourselves accountable. We don't hold ourselves in self-awareness. And we don't take ownership of ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's easier to blame it on somebody else or something else. Oh, it's because I was drinking last night. Well, remove that. Then who are you? You start removing the excuses and start doing things differently. You will find real quick, it's like, fuck, it ain't nothing but me. I'm the one that's creating the situation. And I'll end with this part is in relationships. And this doesn't matter if it's a professional relationship, a personal relationship, or an intimate relationship. It's all relationships. But we sit here and say, you got to change. Mr. Jones, you're the problem. You need to change. You need to fix your shit. You need to get your shit straight. And in reality, you, the person who's pointing fingers, you got one finger pointing at, you got four pointing back at, you got three fingers and a thumb pointing back at you, because it's you. You are the problem. I share this all the time, and it's not going to make sense to you. It comes from the philosophy of the Extreme Ownership book by Jocko Wilcox and Wilco, and I can never remember the other gentleman's name, but they were both Marines, and it talks about how having extreme ownership, there you own everything. And I always say this because it's so absurd, and it makes people think. If you park your car and all of a sudden you come out and there's a big ass asteroid sitting on your car, and you just got a flat tin can, your car is now flattened. That's your fucking problem. That's your problem. Why? Why is it my problem? I didn't know a fucking asteroid was coming. I didn't know if I parked there we'd have an issue. That's your problem, because you parked the car there. It doesn't matter if you knew the asteroid was coming. It doesn't matter if you didn't know the asteroid was coming. It does not matter. You should have parked your car somewhere else. You should have took the responsibility. You have to take full ownership of that asteroid hit my car, and that's my fault. And you could say, well, I have no control over the universe, and I have no control over Mother Nature and how that happened. Doesn't fucking matter one bit. And the problem is, people can't hold themselves to that level of ownership. They can't say, you know what, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I did this. I did this because I had an emotional outbreak, because it was related to this issue or this experience in my past. I haven't done the work around it, so I'm still traumatized about it. And because I'm traumatized, I'm making it your problem, and I don't want to fix myself. And at the end of the day, we ain't going to get better as a society. We ain't going to get better as people until we can take our shit and own our shit and be with ourselves. And the problem is, and why addiction is so high, is because it is easier and it's more profitable for the big pharma companies and every other corporation in this society to make money off of your ass, because you want to look external for an easy button. In reality, the easy button's inside of you. You're just too fucking lazy to do the work, period.
Smoking. I love that, baby. You're so...
Got my microphone back. I'm back.
And you're so spot on, when you share that, because we talk about the easy button so often, about how, and today, how, it used to be to where, Office Depot, came out with that commercial where you could press a button and ta-da, shit was done. And nowadays, people want somebody else to press that easy button and it be done. And that's so true, to where we want somebody else to press the easy button for us, for our life to be easier, other than us pressing the damn button, and not just pressing the button, but being consistent at pressing the button and doing the work. And so, you're so spot on when we say this person or that person. And as I was sharing with people earlier, I'm glad you said it, is the meditation, is being able to take care of yourself, being able to eat right. And more importantly, how your surroundings, the story, the standard, the sacrifices, right? The self-discipline, that conversation with the soul, which is really what this is all about at the end of the day. Is, are you having a conversation with yourself and being open and honest? or are you distracting yourself with everything else around you so you don't have to focus on that, knowing that that's the problem? And as we share with people, the things that you want is on the other side of the shit that you're not doing, and you know exactly what it is that you're not doing. And the crazy thing about it is that goes in all aspects of our life, from business to personal to relationships to all of this. What you want is on the other side of the shit that you're not doing, and you know exactly what it is that you should be doing, or you need to have a conversation about it and be upfront and honest about that conversation and how you're showing up in life. And so, we greatly, thank you guys for joining us today, baby. Is there anything else you want to add on to this topic in this conversation as we talk about, self-awareness, the story you tell yourself? I know you just talked about, living in the past. I think that's one of the biggest things, is that we live in the past that then tells ourselves a story that then brings up our self-awareness.
Yeah, I mean, they all go hand in hand, and they're all connected at the end of the day. It is stopping to understand that, the self-awareness. I just went off about what that self-awareness is, that self-awareness factor. But if we dive deeper, it's the story we're telling ourselves. For so long, I'll talk about myself because it's so much easier to talk about my experiences than other people's experiences,
Yeah.
because I don't live their experience. But it comes down to the simple factor of, I used to tell myself for a long time that it ain't me, it's David. And I know David told himself the same same story. It ain't me, it's Tara. Tara's the issue. And it's that story that we tell ourselves. And you got to cognitively change that story. You have to catch yourself. Be self-aware of what story is running in your head. Look, you talk to yourself how many times a day, love?
60,000 times you talk to yourself, and 80% of it is negative.
80% of it's negative. So sit with yourself when you're driving and you're driving along and you don't got to turn the music off. And what is running through your head? Are you just talking about, goddamn driver in front of me needs to hurry up? That guy behind me's tailgating me. God, I got to get the animals fed when I get home. I got to get, dinner cooked. Oh, the house is a mess. Blah, 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 blah. You're just going through this list of chores. And it is so much easier to be in a negative light because we as humans are programmed that way. We are around so much negativity on a daily basis and with everything, because that's what sells. You have to understand, we live in a capitalist society. They are here to capitalize on your ass. They want to feed you and give you whatever you think it is that will make you feel better. But in reality, it comes down to what you're telling yourself. How many of you have been watching the Olympics? How many of you know Jordan Spires, whatever it is? I'm not sure. I so apologize because I butcher names, so I apologize. But she's an Olympic gymnast, and she has been to the Olympics before, and she's been being passed over and passed over and passed over, not going to the Olympics. I don't think she made it to Japan, Tokyo when they were 4 years ago, and she made it this year. And this right here, guys, is important. We all know who Simone Biles is. Look, I got that name right. So I am so sorry, Jordan. I apologize profusely that I have, butchered your last name. But Simone Biles has been a part of, she's been in gymnastics since she could walk. And she has been a part of gyms that are toxic and not good. And, whether it's physical, mental, or sexual abuse, she has been a part of those. And she now owns her own gym north of Houston, up in Spring, Texas. She owns her own gym, and that allows, other people to come. They can come. But she fosters an environment of love and harmony, and building people up from the inside with their confidence before they ever work on the skill set. And she invited Jordan to come down, because I think Jordan's from the Pacific Northwest. She was training somewhere on the West Coast, and she told Jordan, hey, come down here, come train at my gym. And she showed up. Jordan showed up, and Simone started working with her, and they didn't jump right into skill set. What they started working on was her confidence, what her inner story is, the positive affirmations she tells herself on a daily basis. Like, I wake up and I'm the best gymnast there ever is. I'm the greatest gymnast that will ever live. You know, she's training with Simone Biles, which everybody knows how awesome Simone is, but Simone's telling her to tell herself that, because that is what happens when you have come from a toxic environment and you change it and you have that awareness like Simone does. She made an environment that is positive and nurturing where people grow, and she realized how much that story you tell yourself will fuck with you while you are competing, that you will doubt yourself. And when you are a high top elite athlete, you cannot allow your brain to fuck with you, because it will, that negativity will try to creep in all the time. I tell myself all the time, guys, there's nothing in this world I can't do. I can even fucking fly a plane. I might need to watch a few YouTubes before I do that, but there is nothing in this world I cannot do. I can do everything. Because why? I was taught that at a young age and told that repetitively by my father and by my mother. And as I got older and worked side by side with my brother and did things, it was, you can do anything. Can't isn't a word. It's not in the dictionary. And it was the story I was telling myself because I was not believing in myself. And we all, look, Jordan says this. She says, I am that woman. I am the motherfucking woman. And at the end of the day, it's not her walking around with a big ego and big pride and boasting and making herself, and she's cutting everybody else down. No, when you understand positive affirmations and understand that there's enough abundance in this world for everyone, that means at the end of the day that the woman next to you is the motherfucking woman, and she's the one too. We have lived in a society where it is only one person. We've lived in a competitive environment where only one person wins. And look, I'm not here saying we all need to pass out participation awards, but what is true is that we all win. We all win because there's enough abundance in this world for each and every one of us to have all the dreams, to have all the health, the wealth, and the goals and the success that you want. And a lot of times people tell themselves, nah, I took second place today, so I'm not the one. No, you still are the one. There is a reason why that you quote unquote landed in the second place position, when you did your floor routine or whatever the hell it is. It is not that you suck. It is not because you're bad. It is just the simple fact that is the scoring system, and someone was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. It doesn't matter, but it still doesn't. It means that you are just as equally as capable as the next person. And we sit here and tell ourselves, nah, it's not me. And that story, what we tell ourselves are, nah, the problem, I fight with my wife or my husband every night. It's him because he's got a drinking problem, or he eats too much, or whatever the hell the freaking excuse you're telling yourself. It ain't him, it's you. It's you. You got to fix that. And that comes down, that's why the self-awareness, the story you tell yourself, and the past, those three things, if you are not doing it and not being aware, it will set your ass on fire. You will find so much disease in your body. Let me tell you this, cancer. Woo, cancer, boy. I lost a father to cancer. I know many people who have lost their loved ones to cancer. I know many people that are right now fighting for their life with cancer. And the thing is we talk about, it's the food and the system, it's the food in our, the food in our, that we eat. And it's, all of this. Yeah, absolutely. That's a contributing factor. But let me tell you what cancer is. When I started understanding the power of energy work and understanding how our bodies are energy, it's trapped emotions that turn into trauma, which then turn into dis-ease, which then turns into disease. I've already said this once today. And what happens is, for instance, my father died this coming month, next month, will be 15 years that he hasn't been with us. And he died of colorectal cancer. And when I started researching what colorectal cancer really was, I thought it was what the doctor said was, because he ate a lot of red meat. Because he did lack of exercise. He smoked, he drank, and, lots of fried foods. I thought that his diet was the reason why. And so I changed my diet completely. When I started realizing the reason why my father died of colorectal cancer was because of the trapped trauma that he had from his childhood. And when I discovered that it was childhood trauma with your father and your mother, that is what causes colorectal cancer, I went, holy fucking shit. That was like a light bulb to me. We will all die of some disease if we allow it to consume us. And we have to be able to find a network, a confidant, a mentor to be able to speak about it, to talk about it. So you process that emotion. You're with that emotion and you say, it makes me feel this way. When you talk about it, it allows you to release it. When you cry, it allows that emotion to come out and you yell or whatever that physical, release is. It allows that trauma to move through your body and it's not stuck. And when we stuff it down and we stuff it down and we stuff it down and then shit just adds on to it and adds on to it and adds on to it, we end up finding out that we are, sick and we're sick with disease. Tell me why colorectal cancer, which used to be an old person issue, meaning, somebody who has had trauma stuff for years, generations, down. Tell me why kids and, people in their 20s and their late teens are dying of it, because we're teaching people to stuff their trauma and don't talk about it. We don't want to hear about it. How many times have you walked up to your parents and you saw them and they're like, I don't want to hear about it? That just means you're going to stuff that trauma away. And that trauma is then going to turn into something that is dis-ease. And you're now going to have a disease eventually. And then you're going to start taking, pharmaceutical pills to get rid of it because we have been taught that there's an outside force that will fix it. In reality, you got to be with yourself. And finally, I'll say this, the story you tell yourself, the story that you tell yourself on a daily basis, a lot of times is the past, because you're based it off past emotions, past experiences. And those past experiences, guys, is what continues. As long as you live in the past and you reference the past and you keep talking about the past, you're just bringing it into your future. You're making it your future. You're making it your now. So if you're sitting, you're talking about, and I'm talking about how David does this and David does that, and David, every time we get in a fight, he does this, that, and the other. It is me making that a reality now and then hanging on to it and putting it into the future. But when I stop and say, nope, it ain't David. I don't care if I stub my, David, pushed me over the balcony and I bumped my head. That wasn't David's fault. That was mine. Why? Because I was walking too close to the balcony. You got to take extreme ownership and realize that what you are talking and that, talking to yourself over 50,000 times a day is negative, and it's usually about the past, because your past experiences, because you haven't fixed the trauma and the drama and all that's stuck in you, and you're reliving it, you're bringing it forward, and no wonder why you can't get out of the thing. We just had a conversation today with a client that was just talking about that, and at the end of the day, that's because she's continuing to relive that same past, the universe is continuing to bring that lesson up for her to learn. And in reality, it's unfortunate because it's hard to teach people and show people that until you want to be self-aware and realize that you talk to yourself, it's negative, and you're just talking about the past, bringing it back up. And you know what? Leave the past where it is. It's okay to reference and say, oh, in the past, I did that, but I'm no longer doing that. That's not how I move forward. Now, this is how I am. I'm happy. I'm joyful. I'm owners of myself. I am positive. I am full of health. I am full of wealth. I am abundance. When you talk to yourself in a positive manner, it's okay if you did something. Look, there's shit in my youth that I'm not proud of, I stole Boston baked beans from the local grocery store, and I had to sit with myself and be like, that's okay. I did it. It's okay. I forgive myself. I know Boston baked beans, they were literally 25, 35 cents. I had the money in my pocket, but I was a little rebel. I was going to steal it. So my point being, guys, is when you start getting on that journey of holding yourself accountable, you will watch doors open up, and you will watch abundance flow to you, whether it's health or wealth or, love, whatever it is that you want so badly. And we all just want to be loved and accepted and not have to be judged. So that's what I got to say about all of it.
I love it, baby. You're so spot on. And as we leave you guys, I would highly encourage you all to go read, go listen. If your ass is gonna watch a football game this weekend, there's multiple of them. That's a 3 hour, 4 hour. Hell, it's actually probably longer than that. Then you can definitely go, pull up on YouTube. Go to your nearest bookstore if you like to read, and go get the 4 Agreements. Okay, the 4 Agreements. It's a great book to where, as I was sharing with you guys earlier, we spend 6 years of our lives dreaming. And that's literally what we do, is we're dreaming and not being aware of who we are. We're really, when we go to look in the mirror, that smoke in the mirror is you and your dream. And really being able to understand that, be impeccable with your word. Being able to not take things personally. Being able to not make assumptions. Assumptions gets us in so much fucking trouble, especially when we bring our past into it and how it makes us feel and what this did and what that does, and not knowing, the true situation. I was just on a call, earlier today, that assumptions just ran. And you don't know what to do. You don't know how to say it. You don't know what to say. And it's just crazy, other than just having effective communication. And that takes you getting out of your fear. That takes you getting out of, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do. Do it. Do something, but don't do nothing. And then, always do your best, which that leads straight to it, right? Always do your best. So you don't have to make the assumptions. So you don't take other people's assumptions personally, and you just be impeccable with your word. So no matter what type of role you want to put that in, it all, it flows together. And I will continue to share with you guys, all is one. If you're able to be self-aware of who you are, how you show up in life, if you're able to be aware of the story that you tell yourself, and you're able to let go of the past, oh my God, this world would be so much better if we all just did more work than what we're doing now, and not hide behind our traumas and our dramas and our patterns and our programs, and just say, this is me. This is the way I'm going to live. Either you deal with it or not. And that's not the way to live, especially if you have a partner, especially if you have a goal or a dream that you want to go after. It takes you to make the change in order for the change to happen, right? And so that's what today's conversation.
Be the change, baby.
Be the change, baby. And so, that's what today's conversation is, of stop being a prisoner and a fool of your own mind. We want to thank you guys for joining us, as always, on this amazing podcast that's in our Hello Plaza Getting Naked Studios. You guys can come and watch the full replay in here. You can go to our YouTube channel that will be up and playing as well. You can go check out our other, 60 plus episodes that we have. But we are in season 3 of our Getting Naked podcast in the metaverse. And so definitely support, share, and at the end of the day, be grateful. Be grateful for the things that you have in life, because if you're grateful, then everything else, will fall in place as you want it to, because you're changing that mindset from that negative 80% and niching it down every single day to where gratefulness is the key. And until next time, love,
kindness,
integrity,
but most importantly,
commitment,
and consistency.
Until next time, toodles!
Toodles!